Hi guys, welcome to another video from Little to Simple. In 2016, India witnessed the announcement of something that seemed too good to be true. A smartphone priced at just 251 rupees, roughly $3.5. This wasn't just any phone, it was the Freedom 251, a device that promised to bring cutting-edge technology to millions of people at an unbelievably low price. The country was abuzz, and Ringing Bells Pvt Limited, the company behind the phone, became an overnight sensation. It was hailed as a potential game changer in India's journey towards digital inclusion, an audacious leap that could bring technology into the hands of millions who had never imagined owning a smartphone. For many Indians, the Freedom 251 seemed like a gateway to the digital world. The promise of affordable connectivity and modern technology resonated with a population hungry for innovation and eager to bridge the gap between urban and rural divides. However, what began as a dream quickly spiraled into a nightmare, revealing a tale of deception, controversy, and shattered hopes. The Freedom 251 saga wasn't just a failed business venture, it was a reflection of unchecked ambition, opportunistic schemes, and the vulnerabilities of a fast-growing but under-regulated consumer market. Let's unravel this intriguing story filled with moments of hope, betrayal, and lessons for the future. The Grand Promise. It all began in February 2016 when Ringing Bells announced the Freedom 251. The phone's specifications sounded remarkable for its price. A 4-inch display, a quad-core processor, 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB of expandable storage, and Android Lollipop 5.1. These features rivaled smartphones priced at 10 times more. It seemed like a revolutionary offering poised to make India's digital dream accessible to even the poorest citizens. The launch event attracted massive attention. Consumers rushed to the company's website, desperate to pre-order the phone. The demand was so overwhelming that the website crashed repeatedly. In just a few days, millions of orders were placed, and the company promised deliveries by June 2016. The media, both domestic and international, took notice. Headlines declared the Freedom 251 as the world's cheapest smartphone, and Mohit Goel, the founder of Ringing Bells, became an overnight celebrity. But as the excitement grew, so did skepticism. How could a company deliver a smartphone at such an impossibly low price? For many observers, the Freedom 251 felt too good to be true. Whispers of doubt. While the public was captivated by the idea of a 251 rupee smartphone, experts and journalists began to raise questions. Manufacturing a smartphone at such a low cost seemed impossible. The raw materials alone would cost far more than the selling price, even if the company operated with minimal profit margins or relied on subsidies. Industry analysts pointed out that even with economies of scale, no major tech manufacturer could achieve such a price point without substantial external funding or cutting significant corners. The first cracks appeared when journalists attending the unveiling noticed something odd. The demo phones bore the logo of Adcom, a little-known brand, which had been hastily covered with correction fluid. This raised a critical question. Was the Freedom 251 a rebranded Adcom phone being passed off as a revolutionary product? Additionally, Ringing Bells lacked any history in the tech industry. It was a new, unproven company with no manufacturing plant of its own. The promises to build plants in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand sounded ambitious but vague. Many began to suspect that the entire operation was a marketing ploy. Was this an elaborate publicity stunt to collect pre-orders and cash in on consumer enthusiasm? A political angle? Adding to the intrigue, the launched event featured BJP MP Murli Manohar Joshi. His presence gave the announcement a veneer of legitimacy, though the government soon distanced itself from the project. Nevertheless, questions arose about whether political connections had been leveraged to lend credibility to the scheme. Some speculated that the event's timing was strategically aligned with the government's Digital India campaign, a nationwide push to improve digital literacy and connectivity. Mohit Goel, the young and ambitious founder of Ringing Bells, became the face of the Freedom 251. His charisma and bold claims captivated audiences. He positioned himself as a crusader for digital equality, someone determined to bridge the technological divide in India. However, his lack of experience in technology raised further doubts. Was he a visionary entrepreneur or merely a front man for a grand scam? As pre-orders poured in, consumers began encountering problems. Transactions failed on the overloaded website, but payments were still deducted. Emails and calls to customer support went unanswered. For many, the dream of owning the world's cheapest smartphone began to feel like a distant reality. By the promised delivery date of June 2016, it was clear that Ringing Bells couldn't meet its commitments. Only a handful of phones were delivered, primarily to journalists and influencers, to maintain the illusion that the company was legitimate. For the millions of others, there were no phones, just unanswered questions and mounting frustration. Disappointed buyers began venting their anger on social media, and stories of financial losses, albeit small, spread like wildfire. The scandal unfolds. By mid-2016, the story took a darker turn. Investigations revealed shocking details about the operation. The phones showcased during the launch were indeed rebranded Adcom devices, bought at a cost far higher than 251 rupees. Ringing Bells had no infrastructure to produce smartphones on the scale it had promised. The ambitious claims of creating manufacturing plants turned out to be empty rhetoric. Legal troubles began piling up. Complaints of fraud were filed against the company. Former employees accused it of unethical practices and non-payment of salaries. Tax authorities found irregularities in its filings, prompting further scrutiny. Reports also indicated that Ringing Bells had misrepresented its financial position to potential investors and suppliers. In 2017, Mohit Goel was arrested on charges of fraud. Though he maintained that his intentions were genuine, investigators concluded that Ringing Bells had no viable plan to deliver the Freedom 251. The price tag, it seemed, was a marketing gimmick designed to generate publicity and attract pre-order payments. Authorities also unearthed discrepancies in how pre-order funds had been utilized, raising suspicions about the diversion of money for personal gain. The fallout. The Freedom 251 scam left a trail of disillusionment and distrust. Consumers, many of whom were first-time online buyers, felt betrayed. The incident eroded trust in similar too good to be true offers, making people wary of new startups. The company's collapse also had a chilling effect on other small-scale entrepreneurs, who now faced greater scrutiny and skepticism from both investors and customers. For Mohit Goel, the fallout was severe. After his release on bail, he attempted to launch other ventures, but his reputation had been irreparably damaged. The name Ringing Bells became synonymous with deceit, and the dream of the 251 rupees smartphone was relegated to the annals of failed scam. In interviews following his arrest, Goel maintained that he had tried to serve the greater good but was misunderstood and sabotaged by competitors. Few, however, found his explanations convincing. A broader impact on India's tech ecosystem. Beyond the individual failures of Ringing Bells, the Freedom 251 scam highlighted systemic issues in India's startup and tech ecosystem. The lack of stringent regulations allowed unproven companies to make grand claims without accountability. It also exposed the vulnerabilities of consumers, many of whom were willing to overlook red flags in the hope of accessing affordable technology. The incident prompted calls for greater oversight and transparency in the tech sector. Regulatory bodies began introducing stricter guidelines for e-commerce platforms and consumer protection. Educational campaigns were launched to help people identify scams and avoid falling prey to fraudulent schemes. These measures, while beneficial, came too late for those who had already lost their money and trust. Lessons learned. The Freedom 251 saga is a cautionary tale for both consumers and entrepreneurs. It underscores the importance of skepticism when faced with unrealistic promises. For businesses, it serves as a reminder that credibility and transparency are paramount. Overpromising and underdelivering, especially in a market as large and dynamic as India's, can have far-reaching consequences. Regulators too took lessons from the incident, implementing stricter rules for e-commerce operations and consumer protection. But the most important lesson is for consumers. Always question the motives behind unbelievable offers, and remember that if something seems to be too good to be true, it probably is. Stories like the Freedom 251 remind us of the age-old adage, buyer beware. A digital revolution turned sour. The Freedom 251 phone scam promised a digital revolution but delivered disappointment and controversy. It exposed the vulnerabilities in India's consumer market and became a symbol of unchecked ambition gone wrong. Beyond the headlines and court cases, it left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of a nation, serving as a reminder of the fine line between ambition and deception. As we reflect on this story, let's stay vigilant against similar schemes and ensure that dreams of progress are built on genuine efforts, not hollow promises. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that uncover the truth behind headlines. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever encountered a scam like this? We'd love to hear your experiences.